meeting start?
Got to do roll call.
Okay, so go ahead. Who's here? Paul Scarlett,
Here.
John Morgan,
Here.
John Stevens,
Here.
Brad Schlapak.
Here.
I'm Bill Nicholson and I'm the chair, so we're all here. So I'll bring the meeting to order. Paul, do you have the remote meeting guidelines?
I have a little blurb I can read. If you give me 1 second, I will call it up. Here we go. Alrighty.
I might be able to find that for you.
Yeah, this isn't the public notice. Trying to find an agenda. I think this one will have it. Nope. I'm not quickly finding it, but let's just paraphrase. So under the orders of Governor Baker, this meeting is being held virtually. So all roll calls will be done for each vote. And questions can be brought forth from the public, from folks that are directed to join as panelists. So I think that'll suffice.
Okay, I think so too. I think we should take a few things out of order. We can discuss the clerk's report and the minutes from last meeting later. So why don't we discuss Sean's application first for the Townhouse Tavern.
Go ahead, John. You have the floor. You're on mute.
I appreciate that. So our intent is to take one of the windows that's in the back of the building, in the area where there are picnic tables now, and convert that to a wood paneled door to allow better access to outdoor seating during COVID, and just allow better access into the building in general. We did put together a letter and an application with photos and whatnot that we sent to the state, and the State Historical Commission has approved it. We had Neil Dixon do a plan for us. It won't involve any structural work at all because the lintel above it, the granite, remains intact. Basically, what we're going to do is follow the line of the brick of the window and cut it down to floor level on each side, add a threshold and some trim and a door, same color and the same sort of what do you call it, crash bar, the exact same crash bar that's on the other doors in the building, and install a door where one of the windows in the back of the building is today. I don't know what else I can tell you. And in addition to that, we would also install a brick walkway to that door that would use the same materials as the brick walkways that are in the back now. And that's really about it. There's really no other impact to the, to the building. I don't know if there's any other things I should be saying or any other information I can give to you.
Yeah, I've got the plans right in front of me. I don't think
Can
I
we
have-
share those, Bill, so we can see them?
I think I
This
sent.
is, Sean, this is John Morgan. Just to refresh my memory, what is the, where is the accessibility entrance for the tavern?
So the accessibility entrance to the tavern is the rear entrance. That's really the accessibility. Well, I suppose the front is also, because we now have the ramp. But in order to get into the tavern, whether you go through the front door or the back door, both of which are accessible, you'd have to take, as you come in the back door, you go past the elevator. It's a little convoluted down there, as you guys know, that you take the door to the right. So basically go past the elevator, take the door to the right, and then to the left. And then the door to the rear door or the interior door to the tavern is there on the right.
Yeah.
I don't, I honestly, I don't know whether or not no, it can't be. The main entrance to the tavern is not accessible because there is a step there and there's no ramp.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this additional door, this is not going to trigger any accessibility requirements, is it?
Well, this door will be accessible. So this actually improves the accessibility to the space because it allows a direct entrance into the space. The
And
way
out.
and out, and out too. But if you say you were in a wheelchair, you
Mhm.
can't use the main entrance because there is that one granite step near the road. So it is a little convoluted because you have to come in the back door and you kind of, it's a bit of a warren in there. You're really, there are two ways to get in. One is you go straight and down a step through a door where the Irish step is and where the bathrooms are. And then there's a ramp up, but you'd have to go down a step before you got to that ramp. So that you can't go that way. So the real access is you go in past the elevator, you go right, then you go left, and then you go right into the tavern. So this actually improves the entrance for people with disabilities.
Accessible, yeah.
So this entrance will have ability for a wheelchair and
It will, yeah. Neil designed it that way, so it's a 36-inch door. It's level. It's designed to be level with the brick and level with the floor inside.
okay.
Good. What about security?
In what way, Paul?
I'm just wondering what you're doing because you're creating another entrance. There's security on the rest of the building. What are you going to
Oh,
do
I
for
see.
that door?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I guess we will have to. So we'll probably have to add another, one of those touch points. It's going to have a crash. It's going to be a better door than the existing door out on the Worcester Street side because that's just that does not have a crash bar.
Yep.
It does have a sensor, but it doesn't have a crash bar. As part of all this, we're actually going to add a crash bar to that door as well. So now both of those doors will have a crash bar. But honestly, I never really thought about that before, but I guess I'll have to have the guys come in and add another.
Not really
sensor.
our purview either. I was just curious.
Yeah.
what you had thought about it.
It never came up actually. Yeah, the state and so actually it never came up. We haven't gotten a building permit for it yet. All we've done so far is we went to Neil because of course he did all the work in there. We used Neil's package and some photos and stuff. We sent that to the state. The state said that it looked fine to them. So then we wanted to come to you. And then the next step is to get a sign off from the town administrator, just because by virtue of the lease, the town has to approve any change of anything from a sign to a door to a window, anything on the exterior of the building. And then we'll get go for the building permit. I don't know whether the building permit would even ask that. I'm not even sure who the authority would be because it's not like an alarm is required.
No, it's not required. I think you'd want one.
Yeah,
I-
no, it's a great point.
And I don't know how your space is set up that way. I know when the Historical Society was there, they had an arrangement with the town and the service was through them. So if that's
Yeah.
still the case, then I would sync up with the town.
It's not the case. So I have to maintain security for the building. And what I did is I actually went back to the people who installed the alarm system who are based in Palmer or somewhere west of here, like somewhere in the Springfield area.
Mhm.
So I have a contract with them for all the security stuff. So I'll just have to call them and have them wire one of those contact.
So this window it's the window alongside where the picnic tables are, but it's not the one that's closest in, the one that would be behind the bar isn't the one. It's the one that's actually falls just outside of the bar, near where the popcorn machine is.
Exactly. So the popcorn machine is between the two windows. And so if you think about, if you're looking at it from the, from the brick walkway that's there now, you're looking at it towards the picnic tables. There are those two windows. And then right beyond the right window is where it kind of dents in. There's that little, 2.5 foot wide covered area. So it's the window in that corner. So if you were sitting inside the building, it's where one of those round tables is today.
Yep.
Behind the popcorn on the public side, not on
Okay.
the bartender side.
Bill, did you send out these documents? Because I can't find them. I was going to try and share them, but I don't
I
have
sent
them.
them to you 5 minutes ago,
Oh, 5 minutes ago.
sent
That's
them
why.
to you a
'Cause
few
I was
days-
looking at my phone.
2 weeks ago too. Sean, you'll be taking down some of that picket fence, I take it.
I don't, it's a good question. I think we'll have to rearrange the picket fence because we don't want to have some, crazy looking walkway that goes off at an angle. Our intent is to have a walkway that intersects the existing walkway at a right angle and goes straight at the door. And I think the current opening in the picket fence is a little to the left of that. So we'll have to be, we have to keep some sort of fence there for the seating the way it is now. I assume,
Move one section.
yeah, we'll have to move a section or add another gate or something.
Yeah. I'm okay. Does anyone else have any more questions?
So the door you said was going to be made of wood?
Yep, it's so Neil, in that plan, I'm trying to think, in that plan, I think he drew it as a 4-panel wood door, but in the letter from the state, it says basically a raised panel wood door. It doesn't say painted green like the other doors, but I think it says something like, that it will match the other, match the building and the other doors. So we have to look at it and sort of figure it out. I think what we'll probably do is have to add some white painted wood trim because the current opening is 42 inches and we're going to put a 36-inch door. So we're going to have to figure out what looks right for the space. But the intent is to have, a 36-inch, probably, kind of 4-panel wood door there with a same brass as is on the current back door. We're a little, I'm not sure, and I don't know if it matters to you guys or not. I'm not sure whether we should have glass in that door or have it just be 4 wood panels.
Yeah, as to that, yeah.
Kind of pros and cons to each. I think we're frankly indifferent. If it's a little safer, I think, to have a full wood door, but for people coming in and out, it's kind of nice to be able to see. So, if you guys had a point of view on that, we're happy to, I think, go either way. But the idea is that we would paint it the same color. It would look pretty much like the wood door that's on the back. It would have the same exact brass, what do you call it?
Hardware.
Hardware and crash bar.
Crash bar.
Well,
And then we'd have to add some white wood trim around it to make it fit in the space of the window.
Is your expectation that would be both for entering the building and exiting, or is it emergency exit? What is your?
Well, as of right now, our goal would be to make it, kind of depends on COVID, right? Like if we've got a pretty limited capacity in there in any event, right? And I believe the way the building code works now is if you were to use that, say we have to continue to vaccinate, we have issues with COVID in an ongoing way, and we get the approval to have seating out there. If that were the case, I believe the rule is that you have to go in through another exit so that who's coming in and out of the building. You can't just jump into that, like that pen, like that can't become a primary exit if you're going to use that or an entrance rather. Can't be a primary entrance if you're going to use that for 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 seating. Generally, I don't think that's the case right now with the way you can use parking lots and all that sort of thing. But if we weren't in a COVID setting, I think that would be the case. So, I think post-COVID, when we don't have to rely so much on outdoor seating, it's not an ideal place for outdoor seating. It's shaded. You have to have really perfect weather to be in there. It's not. I don't foresee putting a tent in there and trying to make it, a permanent outdoor seating space unless we're forced to do that with the COVID. But so if and I know I'm kind of talking around it, but my understanding is if we're not in a COVID situation, we probably make it a main entrance so people can go in there without going through the warren of hallways if they don't want to go in on the Worcester Street side. In a COVID situation, or if that was, if we're using that as main seating, I think that more or less has to be a secondary entrance because of the way the ABC, the liquor laws work.
Okay.
So I'll just make a comment regarding the door composition. Unless I'm wrong, and I could be, I think all of the exterior doors are a combination of wood panel and glass. So I would think that we would want to have this door, be the same.
Yeah, I would agree.
I like the idea of the glass too. I mean, you've got a window there now. If you're gonna have people coming in, like servers going in and out and so forth, I would think it'd be better to have glass so they don't they know if somebody's on the other side of the door and so forth.
Actually, Bill, I'm not looking at the plan right now. Because that's my opinion too. But did Neil draw it with glass or solid?
It just finally came through. I had to forward it to myself. Do we know which one is the plan on here? How it's labeled?
It looks like it says raised panel, if I'm reading this correctly.
Yeah, there's also a picture on there. In the plan itself, it shows an elevation of a door that Neil proposed. And to be fair, the state said, you don't have to, if you're doing something, I don't know how they word it, but unless you're derivating from the intent of this thing, I don't think we have to go back to the state if it's glass or not glass. And I believe, and I should have the plan up, but if you can pull the plan.
I'm trying to get it open. Bill, you need to promote me to be able to share my screen.
Oh, okay.
I would try to open it, but I'm afraid that I'd lose you guys.
Don't try it.
I don't see-
You wouldn't be able to share it anyways.
Yeah.
I don't see anything about the door, the actual door.
So like a one-page plan, and I think down on the bottom right, maybe it shows an elevation of the door.
There's elevation.
I can
There
see
is a
stuff.
drawing in the upper right, left-hand corner.
Just let me know once you promote me, Bill.
I did.
Okay.
But either way, guys, I can't remember, but we had this debate, and I may be getting this wrong, but I think what happened is Neil showed it as a solid door. And we thought, from a security standpoint, that's good, but from a going in and out, especially if you're serving out there, it's not so good. And I hadn't really thought about the fact that all the other doors had glass in them. So we're more than happy to have glass. And if that's what you guys want, that's what we'll do. And the way that the wording from the state thing, the way my interpretation was, if you make a major change to this thing, then they want to know about it. But if you're changing like a doorknob or something, they don't care.
Yeah.
You guys see this?
This is Brad. On the plans, it's the door schedule says raised panel.
Yeah, and there's a
So there's
little
no
bit of
glass.
somewhere on the plan, it shows a sketch of I think it's a 4-panel or a 6-panel door.
Before I look for
Well,
it further, can you
the-
guys see what I'm sharing?
The sketch
I
shows what would appear as a large glass panel with two smaller panels below it, but it just says raised panel. So it's a little
Okay.
confusing.
Yeah, maybe that's why we were confused. What I'm seeing is it recognized quadrant leader on the screen.
Can you guys
Um,
see what I'm
yeah,
sharing? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, and I see a Zoom screen that says a recognized Magic Quadrant leader.
So it's not sharing screen two. Can you,
And
see,
then
can you
that's what
now
I'm-
see
There
the
it is.
window?
Yep, we can see
Yeah,
that.
now I see the window.
So that's the window.
That looks like it was a door at one time almost, the way the brick.
Yeah, but it's got solid. How are you going to get through that granite at the bottom? You got to cut through all that?
Yeah, you have to cut through it. That's the most expensive part of the whole
I
thing.
bet.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna touch the lintel above it, right?
No, the lintel, and that was great because that lintel above it provides our structural support. We're not doing anything structural.
Okay.
Hold on, I'm trying to find a picture of the door. I got plans.
We're, yeah, I
There you
didn't see
Page
anything.
plan in the upper left-hand corner. As you look
Yeah.
at
Right,
the
a little photograph.
Yeah, see, it says raised panel, and I don't know if it says, that's what it is. See, so on that plan, see how it says raised panel?
Yep.
So we were thinking we'd prefer, and it sounds like you guys would prefer too, that it be glass. And I don't think the state's gonna give us any grief for making that change. But honestly, we can go either way. We're happy to do whatever you guys want.
No, I'm sure they would be fine with that change. It would
Yeah, I
be-
think so too. And I don't know, that drawing there shows a lot of glass area or that raised panel area. I don't know that we need to have it that big. I mean, that's just my own thoughts, but what do the rest of you think?
I
There's a
just want it
question.
similar to what we have.
There's a question regarding this plan. Is it posted on the website yet? I would say probably not.
On whose website?
The town website. I don't know if the town clerk posts how they
We,
post
we-
stuff.
we typically post these when we post the minutes.
Okay, so that would be, let's see. Amy, I don't know if you can hear me. I'll just type the answer. It's like not on the website yet.
When
So
we post the
yeah,
minutes, we'll post it.
Personally, I'm in agreement with Bill. As long as the door, the glass panel part of the proposed door is similar to the, certainly similar to the entrance to the new accessible entrance. I think that would be fine.
Our intent is to make it as similar as possible. You know, I'm sure we can't get the same, maybe we can actually get the same door skew. I don't know, but we'd like it to also to be as similar as possible. Happy for it to be, we're very pleased actually for it to be glass because I think that's just easier for people going in and out. And of course, it'll be the same color. The only thing that would be that you don't see here is we're probably going to have like a wood trim. You know, there'll be some sort of wood trim jam that we're going to make as appropriate as possible to make it look like it's been there 100 years.
Yeah. Will there be any sort of signage on it, like Townhouse Tavern or anything?
You know, we hadn't talked about that either. You know, I suppose we probably should put a small sign somewhere.
Right in the glass like you do on the other.
Yeah,
one.
we could put it on the glass. Yeah, we could put a sticker on the glass like we did on the other one. That's probably the easiest way to do it. Otherwise, you know, if you wanted, we could try to replicate the sign that's to the right of the door in the rear that's got the, you know, the rounded top and try to put something like that next to it. We're happy to do either. I don't know if you guys have a preference.
Well, I think the glass, decals is fine. There isn't in the front of the building, there isn't a Townhouse Tavern sign.
No, because we didn't have room for one because of
Okay.
the tenants that we already had in the building. So, but that's another thing I just asked the new town administrator to sign off on because Iconic Inc. moved out and Gilmore is now taking both of those spaces. They moved to a bigger space in Millbury and now Eric Gilmore has the space he used to be in and the space he was moved to. So now we have room for one more, you know, we have one more sign than we need. So we thought we'd put a Townhouse Tavern sign there.
So every tenant will have a sign out front then
Yep.
at that point?
Yep.
That's good.
The only thing you probably got to check on is the whole secondary sign requirements, bylaw sign requirements. So
Oh,
if you
that's
put
a,
one on the front of the building, you got one on the side. I don't know if there's going to be any issues with then putting a third sign on the door.
I would
Well,
think
that's
a
a- Want to check.
sticker would be less obtrusive and probably wouldn't be as much of a concern.
I would hope not.
yeah, Bob, I'm sure Bob will school me on that for sure.
Yes, he will. Yes, he will.
I imagine so.
And honestly, we don't necessarily even want a sign on the front because people don't really come in from the front. We don't want people to start coming in from the front, but
Right.
I don't know what else to do with that space.
No, it makes sense to have every tenant have a sign then.
Yeah.
So with regard to the door, you mentioned that it would be nice if you could match with the door that's already back there, the main door.
Right.
Dixon Cielo was the architect for that project, so he may very well have record of what that door was that we ordered and who we got
Yeah.
it from.
Is he, so I'm actually having trouble with a couple of emergency lights in that building that are very hard. I've gone to the manufacturer, I've gone to the distributor, they're asking me who the subcontractor was, and I'm like, I don't know. All I want to do is buy 2 new lights. And would Neil have like lighting specifications and that sort of thing too? I guess I can ask him. I know Neil pretty well.
He provided a whole box of all the schematics and everything.
I'll reach out to him.
Project. So I don't know if he kept a copy of it. I believe those were turned into the town
There
administrator's
should be
office.
as-built drawings with the town.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so I can get the SKU numbers for the lights and probably for this, well, I could probably, well, it depends on whether or not it's a custom door or, it's got some kind of label on it, but the issue I'm having is to get back to the distributor that delivered the things. They want to know who the contractor was or who spec'd them, because they don't deal with the public. They only deal with contractors. So it's just a little nit. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, Neil should be able to tell you where they were purchased from.
Where are they located? Are you sure they were part of that last project?
Pretty sure, because we went in, so last year one of them failed. They're in the common areas, and last year one failed, and we went to just replace it with a more modern light, and it's actually wired back to the security system, so it's battery powered. If power goes out, guys, I'm sorry, I'm low on battery now. I just got a thing. I hope I won't lose you, but so if the power goes out, they light up. If the alarm goes on, they flash. So they're very specialized lights, and they're like super expensive, and they're just starting to fail. Which
So Neil may very well have record of who the subcontractor was. I would ask.
I'll reach out.
Okay, guys. Well, in the interest of moving the meeting along, do the other commissioners feel that they're ready to vote on this article, on this application, I mean?
Yep, I am.
I'm
I-
ready.
Paul, John?
Yes.
Yes, I nodded my head. Yes,
Yes.
sorry.
Yeah.
I should have
Okay, good.
said it.
So would someone like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the proposal submitted by the Grafton Townhouse Tavern, or I guess it's just the Townhouse Tavern, for the addition of a door at the back of the building, adjacent to, I'm trying to figure the best way to describe where it is. Is it the middle window back along that back wall?
No, there are only 2. It's the right side
All
lower.
right, so the right side window along the back wall where their tenant space is,
The northernmost window.
northernmost window.
Okay, good.
All right,
All
I'll
those
second
in
that.
favor? Sorry.
I think John seconded it.
I seconded it, yes.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Discussion first. Just in case
Uh,
there is.
Okay, is there any discussion?
No, only that,
Oh,
we like to review final materials.
yes, good point, John, exactly. Yeah, the materials, the window, the sign, that sort of thing.
Before installation?
Before installation, so we can review them and give our sign off on them.
Okay. So just so I 100% understand, so when we know what because we may not have the actual physical door, you want to see like the sheet or whatever
Yes,
Spec sheets, yeah.
exactly.
gotcha, okay.
Okay, John, how do you vote?
Which, John?
Oh, sorry, John Morgan.
Aye.
Okay, Paul,
Aye.
John Stevens,
Aye.
Brad Schlepak,
Aye.
and I also vote aye. So it's unanimous and the application is approved.
I
Excellent.
appreciate the time, guys, and I thank you for the positive vote too, of course, and I'll get that spec sheet. I think I'm just in my head that really the only two things that I can really provide to you, I think, is probably the spec sheet for the door and the paint color, right? Because everything else is kind of nuts.
Yeah, and just the, materials for how you have to, do some wood trim around it and what you're proposing for any sort of, design on that.
Gotcha.
And the signage, if any.
Yeah, I think we're probably gonna, if provided that Bob allows us to, we go with John's recommendation and just put that same sticker, the THT sticker
Yep.
that we have on the other doors, seems to me to be the simplest.
Yep.
Well, thank you, guys. Really appreciate it.
Okay.
You're welcome,
Nice
Sean.
seeing you, sort of.
Yeah.
We didn't really
Yeah.
see you, but nice talking to you,
I know.
Sean.
I couldn't tell.
Good
Every time I
picture.
talked, like my picture came up. I didn't.
Well,
don't
yeah,
know.
your picture's here. You're looking very dapper.
Very professional.
That's an old picture. I had hair back then. All right. Thank you, guys. I
All right.
All
appreciate
right,
it.
have a good night.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay, let's move along now and let's discuss the gazebo or the bandstand, and we
Well,
can talk about other things
Bill?
afterward.
Bill,
Yeah,
can I
Bill,
interject for a
guys.
second? We've got Ron here online. I'm not sure what Ron's on for, but is he on for the gazebo?
Can you hear me now?
Dance?
Hi, Ron.
Hi, I am here to discuss the roof screen
Ah,
and exterior directional signage for the Grafton Public Library. If it would be possible to share my screen, I have drawings for you to see.
Yeah, you should be able to share, Ron. You have control. Except we can't hear you now. You're on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm still seeing your screen.
Yeah, I
You-
still,
you have to-
You should, I'll stop sharing and you should be able to share.
Okay, now I can unmute, which is good. And I will share my screen too. Okay. Can everyone see this?
I can see it. Yep.
Yep.
Excellent. So as you know, we need to, unfortunately, add a roof screen to the new addition because of the rooftop units that we found, unfortunately, late in the game, were going to be visible from the street. So we had looked at a few options. We had looked at a solid panel screen and found that it really did not look good, and it would basically act as a sail up there and catch wind. So what we're proposing is a wrought iron screen that's roughly 4 feet high, and it's set back from the roof approximately a foot on the west elevation, and then set back equally on the north and south elevations. And I'm going to zoom in so you can see the detail. We used these existing wrought iron grates to influence the design. And I have an image I have a photograph of one of them.
Mhm.
So you can see the wrought iron flat stock with a diamond pattern at the top. Some cross verticals, a nice little kind of a diamond with ovals in the middle. This bar always gets in my way. So we use that as an influence. And we don't want to copy it exactly because this is a newer building. And one of the directions from the historic, correct me if I'm giving the wrong name here, but I believe it was the library or the MBLA or the,
Historic District Commission doesn't want it to match exactly.
thank you. Okay.
Mass Historical.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mass
Right,
yeah.
Mass
Historic
Historic.
District Commission does want
Yeah,
to.
they want a addition to stand out as an addition, which seems counterintuitive.
Yes, exactly.
but yes, they do.
Exactly. So what we're proposing, I'm just gonna, there we go. I want to stop moving it so no one gets motion sickness. This square up here is the rough location of one of the closest rooftop unit. It's approximately 7 feet tall. We're proposing a 4-foot tall wrought iron screen made out of flat stock, similar to this, following a similar pattern without the detail of the top rail, just a square flat top rail. These panels here can be solid panels, solid metal panel. They can be perforated metal panel. It could be a painted wire mesh, something substantial, not like a window screen mesh, but a welded wire mesh. So we have options for what this infill can be. And the way we've set it up is so that this center embellishment is centered over each window. And then these intermediate panels fall in between the windows equally on each side. And they also provide an indication that these are 3 individual sections as opposed to just one long screen. It breaks it up a little bit. And on the end here, the south end, we would have a panel of equal width and height return back so that as you're looking at the building from the corner, it looks like I'll turn my hands this way for you. It looks like it's a pillar rather than just a flat. You don't see just a flat screen. It gives it some substance, some depth. So this is the option that Ken Best and I preferred. And we reviewed it last night with the design subcommittee for the library. They liked it as well. We also showed some other options that have the embellishment at the top. It's not exactly the same, but in option, I'm going to start with D because John preferred this option, John Stevens. So I'm going to change my cursor here to an arrow. These arcs are flat stock steel, the same as these crossbars. So all of this is open space in between. This option, option C, it's shaded in. What's shaded in is actually a water jet cut steel plate. So the openings, the clear part are white. The hatched part are the steel plate. And in option B, it's the same concept except we reversed. The diamonds are open and the hatched arcs are solid plate. So basically we have 2 general options, one without any top embellishment and then an option with top rail embellishment. And then within that option, we have 3 different options for what that embellishment is.
And D
And
is pretty much close to what is on the front of the building, right? That's very
D
similar.
is the
So-
closest to what's there now. Let me call up that
Yeah.
image.
That, the one that's there has ovals on the bottom, and you're not suggesting those. So it's still,
Right.
so it's still different.
Yes, it's still different.
Yeah.
Can you, is that clear?
Yep.
Okay, so you can see the similarity between the two.
Mhm.
We do not have the ovals along the bottom, and we've added these panels to break up that long run of railing.
How are
Like-
the corners? It's hard to tell the detail. How are the corners handled on the original piece?
They return back to the corner, the ends return back to the brick.
But is
And-
it just a simple bar at the
Yes,
corner, just like a 1-inch square bar?
yes, it, let me call up the other image. It might show it a
This-
little bit better.
Yeah, it just looks like a simple.
Yeah, it is a simple bar, but let me move this out of the way so I can zoom in a little bit. Okay, you can see here, it's a little bit blurry, but it's a square bar and a straight return. And there is an X infill
On the side.
on the side that is similar to what's the X infill on the front.
Because I like that more delicate, rather than that wide screen. That wide screen really is jarring to me.
This here. Yeah, you had mentioned that. I was wondering.
A or the D, yeah, that either one. That's just it just doesn't go. It does not. It doesn't relate to anything, I guess, but it also it just doesn't match.
Okay, we can look at a different, because what I'd like to do is be able to differentiate these, what we show now as a panel, from both the X's and the center medallion. So we can look at doing something kind of similar, but a little bit different to make it stand out a little bit. If that makes any sense. Like maybe, let me,
So Ron, this is John Morgan. So you said that the screen would sit back about a foot from the roof line, is that correct?
roughly, yeah, the
Right,
structure
and-
of the parapet, it doesn't allow it to sit right up front.
Right. And then as you go down the side of the building, how far is it again sitting back about a foot or so? And then how far does it extend running down the side?
Let me just pan up a little bit. So you can see it's set back a couple of feet because we want it to line up
Mhm.
and be symmetrical with the windows.
Yep.
It returns along the side elevation, the width of this panel.
Okay.
Which is roughly how much, do you know, Ron?
It's roughly a foot to 18 inches at most.
Okay.
It's in that range.
And the way you have that configured, you were envisioning those mesh panels to be painted black, just like the rest of it. Alright.
Everything would be painted black, and they could be a solid panel. It could be a perforated metal panel. It could be a mesh, or as John said, it could be just another option of metal bars
More diamonds, or just, I mean,
with it.
I know you're trying to differentiate 3 different sections.
Yeah.
I don't personally see the need to do that.
I actually
if you
kind of
want-
like that idea of separating them out because the ones out front aren't very big. They're just out in front of the window. So that's kind of mimicking that.
But when
I
you
think
look
if
at
you're
it from
just-
a distance, you're just seeing black, 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 black. I'm not even noticing the pattern. I'm just seeing 4 big chunks of black.
Yeah,
I see three
I think that comes
three
down to
distinct
how
sections.
dense the design is, the mesh is. If it's more open, it would be less obvious.
Well, that's why we were proposing a metal panel or a perforated metal panel, as opposed to flat stock bars in another
Yeah.
pattern.
I actually like that it's broken up like that. I really think it makes it stand out. And for what he's trying to do with lining up with the windows and making it look symmetrical, I think it helps with that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't.
this is John. I'm not opposed to that design either. I think, but to take in John Stevens' concerns, if it can be toned down a little bit with a wider mesh or just so it's not so dense, I think that you could address both those issues.
Okay, and we can look at it with an option with flat stock bars and come up with a slightly different design and embellishment for those sections that would differentiate them from the rest of the screen and still give that sense of separation. And, breaking it up and framing, basically framing the windows. The other question, so we can revisit this, that's no problem. We can give you options for that and show you actual perforated panels and an option for doing it with flat stock bars. The other question for you would be whether it's a simple bar top rail or if it's the diamond top rail.
I kind of feel, to be honest, it's going to be so far back from the sidewalk and the street that it probably won't make a huge difference. How does everybody else feel?
I mean, I like having it because it mimics what's already there, but yet it still keeps some difference because it doesn't have the design that's on the bottom of the other one. So I think to the extent that we can align with what's already there, I'd like to do it.
I would have to say that I'm really in agreement with Bill. I think it's going to be so far back that you could add that detail, and I don't think you're necessarily going to see it.
Well, that honestly was part of our concern, was that the intricacy of fabricating this and welding it and, cutting the parts, the bar, forming the bars, then welding all of it together. Is it really going to be noticeable?
Right.
Yeah.
It's a good point. And I imagine it would be less expensive to not have that intricacy.
Well, yes, and we're trying to keep, expense in mind.
Sure, understood.
This photograph is taken at the very end of this curved walkway where it meets the sidewalk. And I do have some other images. I mean, granted, in the summer, you will see the screen even though there are leaves on the trees. But as you can see, it's set farther back than these are. And they're also more in a direct line of sight as you're walking through here. You're going to see these before you see the railing up here, the screen up here. If you even notice the screen up here. So that, given that, we proposed a simpler design with a basic top rail to save some money and not belabor the detail.
That's okay with me.
I mean, personally, I like the concept. I think there's, a few details that still need to be ironed out, but overall, I'm good with the concept. That's just my opinion. I don't know how the other commissioners feel.
I agree, John. Same thing.
Same here.
Very good. If everyone's in agreement, I can come back with some, as I mentioned, some options for these, what this infill panel is based on option A.
Paul, how do you feel?
I'm in agreement with you guys.
Brad?
Yeah, I think they all look equally good. I mean, I think the idea is that you're not supposed to look at it at all, I think.
Yeah, you want it to look nice. You don't want it to draw too much attention,
Right.
but you want it to fit in.
Okay.
Okay, so I will be coming back to this committee with additional information.
Great.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ron. Appreciate your coming out.
Okay, I have one more item to discuss. I will make it quick. As you know, this west entrance, the original entrance, is not accessible, and it was designed with that intent. The accessible entrance is on the east side. We're required by the accessibility, Architectural Accessibility Commission or Board to provide a sign here directing people to where the accessible entrance is. And I'll show you a plan. Here's our site plan. Here's the west entrance stairs. We would need to place a sign somewhere in this vicinity, regardless of side, but somewhere near these front stairs, directing people how to get back around this accessible route to this entrance. This is the sign that we originally, oops, nope, that's not it. This was the sign that we originally had in the drawings. It has not been purchased yet. This is just a drawing of what was originally proposed. Realizing that it was going to be on the west entrance, visible from the street in the common, we realized that we needed to bring this to your attention and get your input. What we're also proposing as an alternative is a wrought iron sign. It's basically about 30 inches tall, and it's kind of a lectern shape. What will be on this, on the top here, it will have a simplified site plan similar to what I just showed you that says you are here, follow this red line to get to the accessible entrance at the east side. It's basically all it is. It's just a graphic.
Yep.
But realizing that this sign is not exactly in the same tone as the building, the same vernacular as the building and the rest of the facade, we're recommending this. We picked up that same inset diamond that's at the windows and at the roof screen. These are flat stock bars, and this is just a black panel, front and top, that's sloped. It's really pretty simple. It's all wrought iron. It's all painted black, and it just has the graphic on top.
Does
And-
is the panel that's flat with the front, is that required? That's what I'm not real enamored with, is the flat panel.
Yeah,
The
what we
angle panel is great, it's fine.
I will confirm, I do not believe that it is. The intent was to have an arrow here with a sign with verbiage that says accessible entrance, go that way, with the map on top. If we can just do the map on top, and maybe at at worst, minimize the size of this panel so that it's just like a 2-inch lip that maybe says directions to accessible entry. So people know what it is without having to walk up to it. Maybe we can do that, John.
I imagine
Is
that's
there-
probably intended for people in wheelchairs, right? They might not be able to see the top quite so well.
Exactly. It's intended for non-ambulatory. Because
Is
if
there
they
a-
are ambulatory, but still on a walker or a cane,
Right.
it's still going to be a long walk around the building.
I would think that the sign would be built at a height that they would be able to see it. I would think.
Yes, and that's the intent. It's,
Yeah.
if we made this panel vertical, it would be pretty, it wouldn't have the same substance and strength that this has.
No, I'm not proposing vertical. I'm just saying that the height of it should be such that somebody in a wheelchair.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is, yes, that is factored into the design and the height
Okay.
of the panel.
Yeah, so I'm in agreement that if we can reduce the amount on the front to just maybe structural too. So,
Yeah, it does give it some lateral stability.
Yeah.
Because even though we have the plate on top, it's just legs and a plate, and you could get a little bit of
Yeah.
wobble. That, even if it's a 2 or 3 inch lip,
Yep.
It'll give it some lateral bracing. So we can certainly do that and come back to you with a revised option.
I like
Is
the
there
idea of
any
picking up the wrought iron.
handicap? Is there any handicap sign at the real new front door?
Yes, because they're power operated doors with paddle switches on the columns, so that people can.
No, but
gain-
I'm saying but from the street or anything, that it's just, you just go in and it's just right there. There's not any
Yeah.
extra.
There's no additional signage saying this way to the accessible entrance.
Yeah,
The
it's going to be the main entrance, so people would expect that. But here you've got another entrance, so you have to direct people back to where the.
Do we
actual
know if
accessible
the
entrances.
handicap parking space in front of the original entrance is going to be removed?
There's no need for it there, really. That's not the accessible entrance, so why would you have it there? Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's my point.
That would confuse people. They expect that it would be there, and then they've got a long haul to get to where they need to go.
Yeah, I don't know that that's part of that's a street marking, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not your purview. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I will come back with a revised sketch of this and a little bit more detail about the map that goes on top. The last comment I want to make is that in this plan, we are required also to provide a sign at the wetlands. This is the south face of the building. This is the patio outside of the main program room, and this is the walkway back to children's and then the story area. We're required to put a sign somewhere along this path indicating the 4 invasive plant species that are found in the wetlands. That was an agreement with the wetlands, I believe the Wetlands Commission. So we again, I'm sorry, we keep going to the wrong sign. We again propose this sign. I would like to stay with this sign on the back. It's not going to be visible from the street or from the commons. And I think it's more appropriate for the use intended back there. So this top plaque, actually there's only a top plaque, but it would be this one. It's just going to have an image of each of the 4 plant species, a little description underneath each one, and then some more general text explaining what this sign is. This sign shows the 4 invasive plant species typically found in this area. So with your permission, I'd like to use this sign at the back of the building.
Just a question, why did they want to let us know about invasive species? I would think protected species would make sense, but invasive? That sounds like it's bad.
I don't know in particular. I was not part of those meetings and conversations. Ken was. We don't know if they expect people to go in and pick them out if they see them. But the direction was to indicate the invasive species that were found.
Was that a state requirement or a town requirement?
Town, I believe.
So that came from which committee?
Conservation?
Conservation?
Thank you, Conservation Committee. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a few blanks tonight, but yes, it was the Conservation Committee.
I'm sure they have a reason. I just don't understand what it is.
Peculiar, doesn't it?
I personally don't have any issue with the sign. It's really honest. There's no sight from the common or
Yeah, no, I was just curious
So-
why they do.
Yeah,
I'm fine with it. personally.
I feel the same way, John. It's okay with me.
Okay,
I don't have a problem. I was just curious.
that's fine.
Yep, I'm good with that.
That's all I have for this evening. As I said, I will come back to you regarding the directional sign at the front and some options for the rail at the roof screen. Do you need to vote on this sign for the planting or deal with it at a different time in one shot?
Yeah, can't we just go with it?
Here you go.
What do you think, John?
It would
I
help
hear you.
if you can approve this, I can release it to the contractor.
I mean, we don't have an application for it. John, you've been chair for a long time before me. What do you think?
I mean, was it part of the original submission?
For signage,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm guessing it wasn't. So if I need to modify the sign application, I will check with Ken and follow up with you. So let's not vote on this tonight.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you for bringing
I
that
have
up.
a sense of the meeting though. We're fine with it.
Okay,
Right.
very good. Unless you have any other questions or comments, I will see you again at the next meeting, if not sooner.
Okay, sounds good. The next meeting is the 17th of June, Ron.
that'll be in person.
That'll be what?
That should be in person.
Oh, exactly. Better be.
Well, that would be a nice change.
Yeah, no kidding. No?
But the 15th of June, all public meetings are going to be in person.
Really?
Yep.
I hadn't heard that. That's awesome.
Great.
But
Have
will
most,
we still be, will we be hybrid or will we'll do away with it?
Nope. Everything's going back to the way it was.
wow.
That's wonderful.
Okay. If we're all set, I will let you continue with your meeting. I'll stop sharing.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you
Thank you
for
very much,
coming, and we appreciate it.
Thank you very much for your time. Greatly appreciated and look forward to seeing you soon.
All right,
Thank
take
you.
care.
Take
Good
care.
night.
Good night.
Okay. I don't know that we have anybody here to discuss the bandstand.
Yes, we do. We have all of us.
Well, I mean, we don't have Andy or the other gentleman, but
Andy, you guys got the plans or the proposal from Neil, right? Did I share that?
I didn't see any schemes. I just.
No, he hasn't done any design work. We have to agree to hire him first, and then he will do it. And I did discuss with him today about our timeline, which is roughly, we have about a month to get things together. So the way I was envisioning it, if this is a direction we go in, is that we would, get his proposal signed. The one piece I don't know, his proposal, I did send it, right? I've been going so fast and furious.
I did get something, yeah.
It was a proposal, it was roughly about $6,000 Andy made the point that it was very reasonable, as Neil always is. I did, again, speak to Neil about a timeline. These types of projects for bandstands, there's lots of examples of. He knows the general concept of what we're trying to do is to preserve the historical integrity of the bandstand, as we're doing the repairs and if we're going to add the ramp to make it accessible. So, he would have to come up with the design. We would simultaneously need to schedule a public hearing. I'm thinking, I didn't set any dates in my mind, but I'm just thinking it would have to be around the end of June. And we'd want to give it as much time as we can so that we have enough time to work with Neil on the design. He'd put it together, we'd meet with him, we'd finalize the design, we'd have the public hearing. And then on the beginning of July, the first select board meeting, which I believe is the 6th, we could go before them and with change orders, and it would be this change order, and I'm assuming it would be the change order for the water district that we've talked about before, for the
Right.
backflow preventer to bring that above, which is something else we need to figure out. And bring both of those to them at their July meeting. That would sync up very well with the start of the project. In talking with the contractor, they needed more lead time to get the materials in order to do the project. So they're not going to be starting, breaking ground until the beginning of July anyway. So if we could get this all in line with roughly in the same timeline as the project start, the only thing I can imagine that it could potentially do is make the end date later than they had originally proposed when we didn't have those change orders, assuming we move forward with them, because they would, I would assume, need a little more time for that.
Okay, so I have a couple questions, 'cause I didn't get the copy of the proposal. What is Neil proposing?
All right, let me find it and then I
thought
can share it.
the
Go ahead.
first step was to do the assessment.
I've got Paul, I can send.
All right, if you got it, you can share it. So the assessment is essentially what was already sent to us by Andy. Neil will confirm that along with his design work, the repairs that need to be done. Let me find Andy's comments and I can share them. Bear with me one second.
The only thing I noticed on it is that it includes replacing the wood shingles that were just replaced. And I don't know if that needs to be done again.
I brought that up to Andy and he says they look like they're in rough shape, even though they were only done a few years ago.
Wow.
And to get to the stuff underneath it, they're going to have to take them all down.
Anyway, okay.
Anyway, sorry, I've got so many things open. I'm trying to get to.
So the first step is to do the assessment, correct?
Well, Andy's already gone in and looked at it, but that's going to be part of what Neil
I
will
thought
do
Andy
in
said
his design piece.
Did a cursory review and wanted Neil to do an assessment.
Yeah, and we can't get him to do the assessment and do the design work until we accept his proposal.
But the first step is to do the assessment.
First step is to get his proposal signed so that we can get him to
I
do
get
that
that,
work.
yes.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
first he's going to do the assessment. Once the proposal is signed, he's going to do the assessment, and then we're going to know exactly where we stand.
I'm not sure what the assessment is going to change.
I don't know either, but I'd like to know.
Well, in your mind, what is you're looking to gain from the assessment? We know there's repairs that are needed. We know that a rough idea of what they are with the roof, and I don't have, still trying to find it. We have flooring that needs to be replaced. We have the roof decking that has issues. The lighting has issues, needs to be addressed. And then the shingles on the outside. And then of course, the balusters and the handrails.
Is there any discussion of materials? how do we feel about some sort of material that's not gonna need to be painted every other year, you know?
AZAC is definitely the way to go. You can't
Yeah.
distinguish it from wood. When it's painted, it looks completely the same.
I agree.
It won't rot. We
Yep.
wanted to do it at the townhouse. There was a preservation restriction that prevented us from doing it. So we don't
Right.
have that here.
I mean,
Yep.
you know, I had, you know, little doubt that the bandstand's so far gone that it's going to need a major restoration. I'd like to get that assessment from Neil, and then he can move along to design. As I said, you know, in our communications before, I think we got to be very careful on how we move forward on this. It's a high visibility symbol for the town.
Sure
And
is.
I think we gotta take it to the select board first and then have a public hearing. And if we do those steps, then, you know, we won't get into, we'll have done our due diligence, and if somebody wants to complain, then they can complain.
Yep.
I think we gotta be careful in the process here.
Yeah, so here's the process that I was thinking of, John. So we need to go before the select board at their June 3rd meeting to get our agreement signed, the contract with our contractor. I think at that point, we can raise the subject with them. They're gonna have questions anyways. We're under budget. We have the money to afford to do it. The town is already identified. They hired a consultant to review all the accessibility issues with the town. Having the bandstand accessible was one of the things that was clearly referenced in the report that was presented to them. The select board made it very clear when we were looking to put in brick that they are very much concerned with accessibility. They made us go to the Disability Commission and work with them to make sure that they were in concurrence that brick was an acceptable material to use. So I don't think we're going to get much resistance from them. I'm totally in agreement. This is a focal point in the town. People are going to want to weigh in it. We need to have a public hearing. But I think if we first bring it to the town's attention at the select board meeting, we do the assessment, like you said, we do the design work, we have a public hearing for the ability for the town to comment on it. I think we can all do that within the time frame that we have, but we need to kind of work quickly in order to do it. One of the things we got to make is the abutters aware. Craig Dauphinay actually brought that subject up to Andy recently, and we can certainly communicate with the abutters and make sure that they're aware of the hearing so that they can attend, as well as, you know, our usual outlets for promoting those through the Grafton News and the town website.
Okay, so what I would suggest is, you know, we move forward with Neil's proposal. It sounds very reasonable. We ask him to do the assessment ASAP, and we get in front of the select board to give them a heads up ASAP. This is what we've discovered. We want to move forward with an accessibility design.
Yep. Do you have any objection, John, to knowing that time is of the essence here, having him do that assessment,
No.
but also to look at the
We're
accessibility?
going to
in
do the, Paul, I disagree. We're going to do the bandstand accessibility as a project down the road. We're now being forced to look at it sooner, and I get that. But I think we just got to be extremely careful in the timing and in the process of this because of the stature of that structure. Even though it is a movie prop, it has high visibility symbol.
I think we're all in agreement with
We've got to
that.
be careful on this one.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement on that. Does anyone feel differently on that?
No, I agree completely.
My only thought, John, is knowing that we only have a month to work, what is the harm in having, in addition to his assessment of the repairs that need to be done, to do an assessment of what the cost would be of the ramp so that we have both bits of information that we can share with the select board?
I don't have any issue with Neil moving forward on doing, proposing some designs and applying cost to them. I think we just need to get this issue, if indeed it is an issue, which is most likely going to be, we need to get it in front of the select board as soon as we can with, documentation backing up. We had an
Yep.
assessment done by an architect. These are the issues. We got to do this work. And we're,
Yep.
moving forward with, and we'll be coming back to you as soon as possible with some design options.
Yep, so on June 3rd, we'd meet with the select board, make them aware of it. We'd get the design work done. We'd have the hearing. We'd advertise that, we'd notify the abutters, get them to be there. Once we arrive on a final design, we'd have to prepare the change order, and we would go before the select board again with the change order, in which case they would have to sign off. So there's two opportunities to go to the select board and bring it to their attention, plus a public hearing, plus notifying the abutters, an advertisement in the paper. We could even use, if we wanted to, social media to promote it as well. That can be a double-edged sword. But if we feel strongly that we want to get the word out, that is another avenue to go.
If we can get this to all work in the timeline and when the project is scheduled to close, I'm all for that. I'm not putting up resistance to that, but I'm also, whatever is done should be right. And everybody who wants to be able to have their voices heard should have that opportunity. So, I don't want to see it rushed. I want to see it done and done right.
Yeah.
And if that takes a little bit longer and it doesn't work with the overall timeline with the project, I personally don't care. We were going to tackle it down the road anyways. So, I don't want to be a slave to the timeline of the project. I want this done right.
Yeah, I think we all do. I think that's safe to say.
And you were mentioning June
I've got
3rd.
my high horse now.
What are you saying?
Paul, you were mentioning June 3rd.
So June 3rd, we are slated to go before the select board to sign the contract with
But
JAM, our
June the
contractor.
3rd is a Thursday. The selectmen meet on a Tuesday, I believe.
Maybe I have the date wrong. Hold on.
So
it's
maybe
June
the
1st.
8th?
Maybe it's June
Either
the
the
1st.
1st?
It's the 1st then.
First?
It's their
Okay.
first meeting of, I'm sorry, I wasn't looking at the calendar. It's the first meeting of the month.
Okay.
So just,
Okay, so June
just
1st.
on a side note, the contractor, Jam, he apparently did some work in the town of Webster where my wife Ann is a town planner. And so I asked if she would check with the building inspector and about their work and so forth, and he gave a glowing recommendation. So it sounds like
Excellent.
they're a good organization.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, the owner is actually from Grafton, graduated from Grafton High, and is very interested in seeing this project happen. So
Anelli, is that the name?
I've forgotten his name. I'm sorry. I can't recall it off the top of my head.
I think that's what Andy told me.
Say it again.
Tonelli?
Yes, that is it.
Good. Well, that's good to hear. So Paul, do we need to discuss, do we need to do anything regarding this?
Well, we have to vote to
Vote.
approve the
Yeah. The
proposal submitted by Neil. The one thing we don't know, and I asked Andy to dig into that, and I haven't heard back from him today, but I'm not sure what the threshold is for requiring public bidding, excuse me. So I'm not sure if for even the design work, we may have to go out to public bid. And if that's the case, then John's point about, the timeline, that would throw a wrench in it, certainly.
Absolutely.
Because that's a 3-week to 4-week process at a minimum. I don't know that it will be over the threshold. I have a feeling it isn't. But we'll get confirmation of that. But we should at least vote on this, that we support it and want to proceed with it. And then I can take that up with Andy tomorrow. And we can contact Neil and get things moving.
One thing I didn't see in the plan that he submitted was to remove and dispose of permanently the lights that are on top of the bandstand.
What lights are on top? And oh, you mean the
I'm being
Christmas lights?
facetious. I'm
You mean the
being
Christmas
silly.
lights?
Burn them, burn them.
I mean, we definitely need an upgrade on the lighting there. It's just
Yeah,
that
if
one
they're just-
lone bulb.
Destroyed, that's okay. In the demolition, we won't be sweating any bullets.
No.
We need to buy you a Sawzall, John?
I got
Maybe some
one. I'll go
TNT.
take them down.
So
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we vote to accept Neil Dixon Salo Architects proposal for renovations of the bandstand. I don't know that we need anything else. That's my
Second,
motion.
John S.
All those in favor? John? Morgan?
John S.
Which one? Me?
Yeah, John Morgan.
Aye.
Okay, Brad?
Aye.
John Stevens?
Aye.
Paul Scarlett?
Aye.
And I, Bill Nicholson, chair, say aye.
All right, the other thing I'd like to talk about is when we, and we don't have to finalize it, but I'm just thinking roughly the end of June for a public hearing to give us enough time, because we're gonna have to advertise this. There's a little lead time for that. So we'd have to make a decision on the date fairly soon. You guys want to think about it, or?
Can we find out from Neil how long it's gonna take him to do his assessment?
Yeah, we can ask him that.
I would think he'd be able to do that pretty quickly.
Yes, I think so too. All right, I'll reach out to Neil tomorrow, and then if, as long as that's fairly soon, it's good. Otherwise, we'll
Yeah,
have to
'cause
make it.
I wouldn't say, I think we gotta kind of hold off on a public hearing, picking a date for public hearing, because we really don't know what the select boards are gonna say or what input they're gonna want. So let's get the assessment, let's get in front of the select board, and then I think we
Yeah.
can do the public hearing from there.
Yeah, because even, if we don't make a decision until after June 1st, we still have enough time. But we'd have to meet sometime shortly after that, maybe on the 3rd,
Okay,
if that works with Neil. All right, so I'll touch base with Neil.
okay.
All right.
So you'll give him the authorization to proceed?
Well, I have to first find out if we got to go out to public bid. I don't think we do, but we have to make that determination. Assuming we don't, then yes, we can have it signed. I think that can probably be signed by Evan. I don't think that needs to go by the select board, so Andy should be able to turn that around quickly, assuming we don't have to go out to public bid.
Okay, do we need to discuss anything regarding the common project?
It's starting July 1st, right? Or right after?
Early July, I don't have an exact date. If Andy was here, he may have had a better idea. They've been given, I forget what the term is, but even though we don't have a signed agreement, they've been given the ability to like order materials and things like that.
Oh, they have a letter of intent?
Yes, thank you. That's the term. So they have that. Last I heard, they had said because of the lead time needed for the materials, most likely the brick, it's going to be early July. So what is the first week in July? It's July 5th, right? 5th is the 4th is a Sunday, so the 5th is a Monday. So that week would be the first week, somewhere in that time frame. And then the plan was to have it all done by the end of August. But of course, if we're doing change orders, that could push out that end time.
Yep. Okay. Are we ready to review minutes from previous meetings? Is there anything else we need to discuss before that?
Just wanted to update you on the I checked on the Willard sign, and Tom Federico got back to me today, said he actually reached them, and the sign is supposed to have been removed, and the post will be removed shortly. And I said, it's not that there's a sign, it's that no one approached us to put up the
Right.
sign.
Nobody give-
Which
So-
sign is this, John? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Well, it's the sign. I didn't check. I didn't notice it when I drove past today. I wasn't looking because I was rushing to get back. Um, it's as you're going up Millbury Street. I think it was just in that little tiny island.
Yes, that's right.
At the World War One memorial,
Right.
And what is the sign for?
the Willard
Willard-
Clock.
For Willard House,
Oh,
and they put them up all over town with no permits at all. And Bob Berger didn't have a problem with that. It's just the fact that it's on the common that this one is being addressed. So they just took it down without even, finding out what they needed to do. So, I mean, I think that it should be gone.
who put them up?
The museum.
The museum put them up. Did you say Tom Federico? He's from the,
Well, I talked
Building-
to, he's building inspector.
Building inspector
assistant
stuff, that's
Building
right.
inspector. Yeah. So he had contacted them, and then they just responded saying it would be taken down.
Okay.
So Bill, the other question I had was, do we know if Jay Hunter's planning anything for the Grafton Inn since they cut that tree down?
I don't know. I did go down there one day and it turned out to be a Monday and it was closed, and I haven't done anything about that. I'll try and do that tomorrow.
it would be good to have some dialogue with him too, and just to, while you're there, kind of talk about the basic condition of the building right now. There's
Right.
a lot of very noticeable rot up at the third floor level along the roof line.
That's gonna
The
fall
board-
down and hurt
There's
somebody.
there's a board that looks like it's ready to fall. The cupola is in really rough shape with panes of glass missing, and that's going to make that get worse a lot faster. So I know,
It's in bad shape, of need of a paint job, that's for sure.
oh yeah. And I know restaurants have had a difficult time, but,
Right.
just to get an idea what his thoughts are, is it on his radar screen? What is he thinking?
Yeah, I'll try to get down there tomorrow and talk to him.
Yeah, because I mean, he wanted to do that outdoor structure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
because they have a preservation restriction on that building, don't they, John?
I don't believe so.
They don't? I
No.
thought they did, because I know it's listed in the historic register, both at the federal and state level, as an independent
But it's
building.
only if they get money from Mass Historical or from CPC
Yeah.
or
Yeah, I realize that. I just
is
didn't
there,
know if he
if
had-
there would be a restriction. Yeah.
Even
Was the
just
tree
let
that
him
they
know
took
that.
down, was it dead?
No, it wasn't completely dead, but it was older and was right in that way. And
Was
it
it-
might have been showing signs of disease. I don't know if he had an arborist or what, but that's right in the patio area. And I think he was probably afraid of things falling on people.
Well, and when Bill and I went and saw him last summer or fall, I forget when it was. One of the first things he said is that tree was coming down to do the
That
roof
structure.
he wanted to do. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was sad. It was a big old tree.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I mean, I'd be inclined to not approve a project on his patio until he fixes up the building.
I want to work with them too.
Yeah.
Knowing that restaurants have struggled with the pandemic.
On to see a
So-
plan in place.
Yeah, like what's his
timeline.
intent? Exactly.
Okay, shall we move on and just cover the clerk's report
Yep. So I sent
minutes?
the minutes. So it was from our April 15th meeting. or is it May 15th? I'm trying to remember. No, it was April 15th.
April.
It is May now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Days are becoming a blur. Yeah, so it was the April 15th meeting.
Yeah, I think there was a typo at the end.
Okay,
I'm just trying to pull them up here.
didn't come up in spell check, which isn't unusual.
Oh, that was the meeting that I missed.
You're right, you weren't in attendance.
So when you go to the page 2,
Yep,
last bullet point, the last word says "backo."
back up.
Yeah, yo.
Read the sentence and maybe I'll figure it out.
It says, Commission reminded Mr. Duchesne that a screen solution for the rooftop HVAC unit still needed to be discussed at the backo.
I have no idea. I will figure out what I was trying to say and fix that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the only thing I noticed.
And
Sorry,
then
Mr.
under,
Stevens, I stole your thunder.
you did, and I was muted, so I was talking away and it was all for naught. Under old business, Unitarian Universalist, Mr. Beauvais, the third line, you dropped an S on me.
At the end of Beauvais.
No, you,
On Stevens.
me.
Oh,
The third
you're
line,
John
it's
Stevens.
Mr. Stevens. Yeah, you're not one of the kids at school. You can't get away with that.
Stevens. Dropped S. All right, I'll fix that too.
That was it. That's all I saw. I would capitalize clerk when you say Polly Scarlett Clerk, because that's your title at the very end.
All right.
I mean, I would, but that's just me.
Take my glory where I can get it.
Exactly.
Should we give him like a larger type maybe, or maybe?
That whole line actually
Just
isn't
the font,
needed.
or-
Isn't technically needed. I just have always done it. So, but that's fine. I can capitalize clerk. No problem with that.
I don't see anything else.
Move to approve as amended.
I'll second that.
Okay. Brad, you want to vote on this?
Brad says aye.
Okay, I say aye. John Stevens,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
John Morgan.
Aye.
Okay, I declare motion carried.